All right, Broncos country, we are live. Welcome in to this Denver Broncos Syndicate live stream here while we are waiting for the initial 53-man roster to officially be announced, which will happen here in probably about 8 minutes when the deadline is official. The roster is probably already fully developed for the most part. Things are just getting finalized. The Broncos are wrapping up practice right now, so that could be a telltale sign. But before that happens, we actually just got some breaking news right before we went live. So I thought we'd go ahead and address this here. The Denver Broncos are trading tight end Alberto Cuebanam and a 2025 seventh round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 2025 sixth round pick, according to Adam Schefter. So I feel like this is a much happier ending for Alberto Cuebanam with the Denver Broncos. I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of the team getting rid of him due to the fact that he can be such a lethal receiving threat, although I do understand and recognize his shortcomings as a blocker. His effort has definitely improved as a blocker, but his technique has definitely still left a lot to be desired. So this is a good fit for Alberto Cuebanam to get a fresh start with the Philadelphia Eagles, who could really utilize his pass catching skill set in their offense. But we've got a couple people already in the house here, guys. We've got Roger Rapp in the house. We've got David in the house saying, I don't think we had to trade for a kicker of all players. Should start calling us the Denver Saints. I mean, we definitely are the Denver Saints at this point. That's 100% for sure. But I don't necessarily disagree with the prospect of trading for Will Lutz, especially because it was a seventh round draft pick. I mean, yes, that could have been used to pick up another asset, but the Broncos are fifth on waiver wire claims, so they could pick up another player on the roster to fit other needs. But with Will Lutz, there was a healthy trade market for him, and there's that strong connection there with Sean Payton as well as special teams assistant and assistant head coach Mike Westhoff, who was the special teams coordinator for the New Orleans Saints when Will Lutz first got there. So in the NFL, it's all about who you know. So that's really the main reason why the Denver Broncos decided to acquire Will Lutz here. All right. So I just wanted to come in here and check to make sure that the roster has not been announced yet. Oh, Sean Payton's live, guys. Sean Payton is live. All right.
And so
One
I'm
second,
not
guys. I
gonna
need to go
run
grab my
down long,
headphones.
but those guys will be 4 weeks.
All right.
Well, I
We
mean,
are
I
in,
think
guys.
that
Sean Payton is talking to the
you
media
just look
right
at the
now.
landscape of our league, whether they're free agents or late round picks. Getting them here is one thing, and then going by what you see is the other. And so, I think it's important for your team where the best players are getting to the roster, regardless of how they got here. And
Absolutely.
And that's. I don't know any other way to do it. And I think if you start trying to get around it and start looking at players differently based on how they were acquired, then I think right away you go down the wrong path. Well,
Oh, Sean Payton has indicated that K'Wan Williams will not go on long-term IR. That is good news.
Track to be on our team or someone else's if we chose not to not to put him on our roster. So I think that was a big game for him. But look, I said this, and you guys have watched the practices. It wasn't anything that surprised us. We'd seen it.
Yeah.
And to his credit, it was pretty consistent. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Just thoughts on keeping just two quarterbacks,
Yeah.
especially with the new rule.
Yeah, but do you understand the new rule?
Well, I've read about it, but
Let me help you.
you can enlighten us.
Let me enlighten you. I think there were
Alex
a lot of people
Polshatsky
that
was
felt
not at
like
practice.
if the
That's
new rule
interesting
said,
for sure.
hey, you can
We're
bring
still
a third
waiting
up
for
off
the
your
roster to
practice
officially
squad
come out.
on game day. That would have possibly been a good solution. The new rule basically says if you keep a third on your active, you can bring him up free.
Thank you so much, Quote. I appreciate you.
So what you had in Philadelphia versus San Francisco was like a once in, call it every 4-year occurrence. And so we're going to, and look, we like, the two guys that are on the roster, and we think that we're going to have a good practice squad quarterback. That's the approach we're going to take. Now, there's some teams that will keep a third on their active, so it's just really your decision how you want to handle your 53.
Yes.
So the new rule still requires you to keep a third on your 53. I'll be anxious to see, call it a week from now, how many teams have 3 on their 53. I'm sure there'll be a few, but we'll have a third though in the building. Yeah, it's always difficult. It's usually, and it's not just one day. This period of this started 2 days ago, yesterday, today. It's always difficult. These guys have been working and man, putting in the time.
How you doing, Captain? Good to see you.
It's that part never changes. Other things change, but how you feel as a head coach during this time doesn't change.
Recognizing this is a bit of a fluid situation, but you have certain types of players you like.
I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to go get my phone real quick.
Yeah, I don't ever stop to say, do I like right where I'm going to go right inside, and tonight we're going to be here till 2 a.m. And if I loved where I was at, then I'd probably go home for dinner at 6. So maybe that's a way to answer it. I like the guys that we've talked with and our plan, but I do think the hay's not in the barn.
David, it just
there's
now
gonna be a
is
number
coming
of
out
players
probably. It's just now
that,
2 o'clock.
That'll be on this waiver wire.
Welcome in, though.
That we've got to look closely at.
Let's see
and
if
then
we
make
have
the
it out yet.
comparisons versus, that gets back to what we've discussed, a month ago about, competing against the whole league rather than just your own position group.
And no
Really
Jonathan Taylor deal
Yeah,
is
really
imminent.
good. He and I, we talk 24/7 during the day. It's going well.
As a head coach, what kind of luxury is it to have a kicker like Will, who's not only so reliable, but so reliable in clutch situations?
Well, look, you're trying to build your team and their check marks, and so he was someone that demonstrated us. He came to us late. We were in a kicking battle ourselves the year, between 2 different players, and then he was released late. We brought him in for a workout and decided to sign him. He's kicked in big games, and he's got a strong leg. We didn't really know. There were 3 or 4 of these teams we were monitoring that had a kicking competition. So you can gather the information from their local media. You can pull up the numbers and try to predict. We didn't know how that would unfold in New Orleans.
Yep.
But fortunately for us, we're glad it unfolded the way it did. It's pretty consistent each day. You kind of know what you're getting. I think the thing, if he's assigned the Sam linebacker and the play's over with, now it might not have been perfect all the time, but he probably blocked the Sam, and he was just one of those guys that day in and day out got his job done.
The Colts are
He's
leaving
got some
Jonathan Taylor on the
position
pup list,
versatility.
too.
You
That
see
is
him
definitely
playing
an
some
interesting
fullback.
development.
He's kind of that F tight end, if you will. He can play on the ball, but he's probably a little bit better off the ball.
Aaron Patrick did get cut, driver.
And he was someone that, we considered drafting, and he was someone
Bradley
that was very
Roby. Sorry, Josh. I was
sought after
I was trying
draft,
to
and
get
so
the
we thought
roster
it'd be
to
hard
see
to
if
get him
things
to
had
the
been
practice
released yet.
squad spot.
I think Bradley Roby could be an option, given the fact that Sean Payton, his old head coach, is here, as well as Vance Joseph. It could make sense.
Yeah, had a good camp. He had a really good camp. So we're excited for him. All right, thank you.
All right. Sean is off the podium, guys. We are still waiting for the official last cuts to be announced. The deadline has officially passed. So Once we get that information here, we will get that to you. We already know most of the cuts, so we're just waiting for basically the last few spots here. Obviously, we had that last minute trade that materialized with Jonathan, or with Alberto Cuebanam going to the Philadelphia Eagles, and no trade materialized with Jonathan Taylor. He was somebody who was heavily rumored to be in contention for the Denver Broncos, but it looks like the Colts are not going to move him. Welcome in, Exotic. I think, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm disappointed at the way things worked out for Alberto here, but I would much rather get at least something for him. All right, George Payton now on the podium.
Or something players on that wire that we'll sift through tonight. Sean said we're staying until 2. I mean, he hasn't done this before, but usually we stay till 5. And we but anyway, I'll open up for questions.
How you doing, SW?
Yeah. Yeah, we're working through that. There'll be a few of those you'll see here in the next 24 hours.
Okay. So some guys that they've released that they could bring back.
I mean, with Sean and his coaching staff, it's easy to evaluate for them. It's easy for scouts because they have a vision, a clear vision on what they want.
George Payton says team feels good about their 53 right now.
Arrived, we talked about every position. Once he got the staff, we had the scouts. So we visit every day. Every day during training camp, we meet. We talk with the coaches. I think it's really important for our scouts to sit in coaches' meetings. If we don't know what they want, we can't build it, and we can't know, we don't know what to look for. And so it's really important we're experts on everything.
JL Skinner has made the 53-man roster according to Chris Thomason. So there's a development right there.
Clear what we're looking for. Yeah, I mean, it was we've been recruiting him. We were hoping he would be an undrafted, and oh boy, I'm trying to think. The scout that was on him, but you start recruiting these guys early in the process.
Yes, John, I do. Nate Atkins, yep, looks like he made it.
And it's part of the interview process, and so. We thought he was a good player. Didn't quite know what we're getting. You never know with these free agents. What you're quite getting. Went to 2 schools.
I'm still scrolling through Twitter here to see if we can get the official
the tape was good, but we've had
announcement
a lot of those guys
here
over the years
on the roster.
Here, but he passed every test. I mean, from the minute he showed up rookie minicamp, it wasn't too big, and then he's working out with the big boys on the varsity. It wasn't too big, and then and then we get the pads on. Makes plays every day. We're really not surprised. We were all looking forward to the first game to see what he could do, and he made plays every game.
Can you talk about the decision, Atkins versus Alberto?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's Atkins versus Alberto. I mean, we have 4 tight ends we really like, and they all fit exactly what we're doing. They all have their roles.
Yep, so that confirms it.
So it really wasn't one versus Albert. Yeah, Atkins, I mean, Sean just spoke about it, the versatility, the toughness, the smarts. He's a football player. He's a guy we had targeted throughout the process, just like Jaleel. We almost drafted him. Just didn't fall. We didn't have a lot of picks, but we were really fortunate to get him as an undrafted free agent. He's been everything we thought, and we had him in on a top 30. Love the visit. I mean, he's got a great mind.
Yep, so team almost
he's a coach's dream.
Drafted Nate Atkins, and now he makes it as an undrafted free agent. Yep, Jaleel has made it.
Yeah, I
he
mean,
has
Sean
made
knows
it.
him well. Westhoff knows him well. I've always, played against him when I was with the Vikings. His first 5 years were really good, upper 80 percentage. And then he had the injury down a little bit in 22, and then in training camp, he was we targeted 4 or 5 teams and targeted him. He was 4-4. He's got a big leg. He's got the right mind. They obviously have knowledge of what he's like, and so. We felt like it was the right move. Brett Maher did an outstanding job. I feel he should be cooking in this league.
George, I know with the Vikings, you guys would let a few guys go after they made the 53 who were vested veterans for a couple days, and then you put somebody on short-term IR and bring them back.
Yeah, we do, and you'll know that here within the next 24 hours. I think we'll have 3 of those scenarios, and so I can't tell you the names yet.
So I'm assuming those are the players who will get released and then brought back.
It did. Most of the guys that were injured have kind of come back.
Yes,
other than
exotic.
K1. We feel good
I
about
went
the
out for
Um,
pizza and they had Coke, so I grabbed a
Some of
Coke.
the young guys stepped up. Bassey, Jaquan McMillan, Mathis. You got Sertan.
Yep.
We'll see where Riley Moss is, but we feel good about our.
So we're,
both
Riley
Florida
Moss,
and
not sure if
Tennessee.
he's going to go on IR yet. That still remains to be seen.
He will not go on that.
Oh, okay, maybe that was the question. I don't know. Can't hear crap on that. Oh, yes, Adkins can absolutely block G-Funk. Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, Sean.
And, okay,
good
Jerry
question.
Judy will
very
not go on
process-oriented.
IR. That's who
He
George
loves
was
the
just
process,
referring to
whether
there.
It's coaching. He loves the process of personnel.
So that's
He's got
great
a
news.
Mind for it. So, I mean, you can get stuck, not stuck, but he and I can talk personnel for an hour, and it feels like 5 minutes. But he'll love this process tonight, our process. He loved the draft, free agency. One of those unique coaches has a great feel for both.
Quote, it doesn't look
So
like we
it's
did.
really
No,
good.
but we haven't gotten the official full list of cuts yet. We still have about
Yeah.
8 that we don't know.
Yeah, Elijah had all the traits you're looking for: size, he's got length, played hard, tough. And you watch the preseason. We liked him coming out. We thought he had traits. It was just raw. And so you watch the preseason when he was with the Rams, and you saw those traits.
Elijah Garcia has made the 53-man roster per Chris Thomason. Let's
So,
go!
Obviously, late in the season, especially when you're not winning.
Good for him, man. Such an awesome story, Elijah Garcia. That's so cool, man.
And Patrick Walsh, Reed Burkhardt.
Welcome
those
in,
guys,
Mark.
they
Good to see
identified
you.
them, and it worked out. Oh, just their, obviously they're both really talented, but their makeup. I mean, Marvin had had the issue with his soft tissue, and it never phased him. He just kept working. He kept working. Both these guys have tremendous makeup. They can handle just about anything. They're pros.
I don't know, Mark. They might have some stiff
They're still
competition
learning
from
the game.
Arizona.
They're a ways away, but you just love the makeup, and they come to work every day, and they're not too high. They're too
Yeah,
low.
it
They're
is,
very steady.
Jeffrey, but that's just kind of how the numbers worked out. Nate Adkins is going to be able to contribute in more aspects of the game, notably special teams.
Oh yeah, he'll be on the pup for regular season, at least 4. You have to.
Baron Browning will be on the pup for the
making
regular
great
season.
progress, Baron. I think he's ahead of schedule. He's working. We feel like he's. We'll get him. Fair. It has to be 4 weeks. We'll see shortly thereafter.
Josh, he can play some nose tackle. He can also play some defensive end, some 3-tech.
Maybe shy an outside linebacker.
Well, Mike, you're trying to get the numbers from me. We are a little heavy in the secondary. You'll see. No, outside linebacker, we have good numbers, and we'll get a practice squad, or 2 at outside backer.
AKA
We're gonna
edge
be light at
rusher.
some numbers,
Please stop
but
calling it
it's just
outside
roster
linebacker.
management.
It's edge rusher.
It's going to fluctuate. The next 48 hours, you'll see.
Whoa, Patriots cut Bailey Zappi. That's
I do,
a
and it starts with
surprise.
Sean. Starts with the head coach. And
K1 Williams and
Sean,
2 other
I've said
players
this,
will
the
go to
minute he
short-term
walked in the
IR
building,
per
creating
Chris
a culture of
Tomlinson.
accountability,
Baron
discipline,
Browning will be on the pup list.
detail.
So bits
It's
and
all about
pieces
the
are starting to
detail
come out.
and competitiveness
Spoon,
and
Spoon,
so,
yes. Or
Never
Spoonster,
evolving,
yes.
but I
McMillan
certainly
did make
like,
the 53.
Our off season, I like our training camp.
D-Rock, we don't know about
I like
Tremont
where this
Smith
team's
yet.
going.
Last question, Brandon.
All right, so if 3 players are going on IR, I'm going to guess 2 of them are
We're always loving the young players.
K1
Everyone
Williams,
develops at a
PJ
different
Locke,
rate.
and then 1 more.
These rookies. I mean, some guys won't play as well as others this year. It's just the way it is.
Those are just my guess. I
And
know
so to
one's
see someone
K1
like
though.
Benito, and Mathis, and
Jesus, we got
Hennessy,
200
guys like
people in the
that,
house. Let's
starting
go.
to develop into pros, and hopefully they keep coming. All right, guys. Thanks.
Yes, Browning is ahead of schedule, but he will miss some regular season time. All right, guys. So we're still kind of scrolling through here, getting the official announcement for the 53-man roster. And just a reminder, guys, it's anything but final because we have the 5th priority on the waiver claim, and I wouldn't be surprised if we made another trade here or there too. So we're still going to have a lot of changes on the roster between now and week 1. Jeremy says, concerned about the corner depth right now. I mean, I'm definitely concerned about, I'm concerned a little bit about slot corner. I mean, but I'm also very confident in Jaquan McMillan, and I'm also very confident in Isane Bassi to step up in those roles, especially Isane. And then with Jaquan, he's looked really good on the boundary. So those two guys I'm really confident about. What's Elijah Garcia's backstory? A small town kid. I've heard nothing but good things about him. He just seems like a really good, humble dude. So I mean, I don't know too much about his upbringing or anything like that, but just covering him recently, he seems like a really good dude, small town kid. I've gotten members of his family that have messaged me or put comments in the comment section below. Really, really, really proud of what he's doing for their community. So that's really cool. We're not deep at corner. We're 5 deep at corner, not even counting Williams. Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like we still have some decent pieces there for sure. Spoomster says Bassi not so sure of. I mean, absolutely, he is an unproven commodity, but he had some nice plays in training camp and in the preseason. He showcased that he's been able to take his game to the next level. He's been able to learn from his mistakes, so I feel like that's going to bode really well for him. Thank you so much, Armand. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you as well, wasting time. Thank you so much. I'm still waiting and checking vigorously here to see if we've got the roster here. I've got Chris Thomason here on the... Okay, so it looks like the Broncos have waived wide receiver Michael Bandy today, but they want to get him back on the practice squad. He did practice with the team today. All right, so that's another player to add to the cut list here. Small town boy born and raised in South Detroit. Okay. So I guess not a small town boy. That's a big city, but still that's a tight-knit community. So even though it's a big city, it's got a lot of elements of a small town. So I'd consider him a small town boy, even if he's from a big city in South Detroit. Short question, do you guys know if it's possible to get tickets for the Broncos? I believe you can. There's like a ticketing booth there. What does the offensive line depth look like? What does the offensive line officially look like, including depth? So we're still waiting on official word about that. Early indications are that Luke Wattenberg and Quinn Bailey have both made the roster. One guy that I thought was going to make the roster, but ultimately ended up getting released was Kyle Fuller. So that's definitely a bit of a surprise there. Again, we're still waiting to see what the official depth chart is, but we do have these cuts that we know of, so we'll go over those right now until we know of the official depth chart, and we're still waiting on about 7 to 8 more cuts here. So, first one, wide receiver Kendall Hinton. I mean, unfortunately for him, he just kind of fell below the numbers game. I feel like the team may want to get him back on the practice squad. It's already been announced that they're going to try to get Michael Bandy back on the practice squad, so it's going to be an interesting numbers game there. J.J. Koski was released, the former Rams wide receiver. Nick Williams, the former Cherry Creek star. Montreal Washington, I know that definitely surprised some, but we've got Marvin Mims, who's set to be our starting punt returner. If Tremont Smith does make the active roster, then he'll probably be our starting kick returner. So unfortunately, Montreal Washington just kind of again fell out of the numbers and out of the depth chart for the 53-man roster, but there's still a strong chance we could bring him back on the practice squad. How do we get the depth chart, David says? Again, we're still waiting for it to officially come out. That was just my own list right there of players who have been cut. So we've got Nate Atkins here, who's made the 53-man roster according to Chris Thomason. He's leaking out bits and pieces here of the Broncos 53-man roster. So the more and more information that we'll get, the quicker we'll bring it to you guys. I cannot talk today. Sorry, guys. But we've also cut Josh Hammond, the former XFL wide receiver who had a touchdown in the Rams game. Tommy Hudson, the tight end. So the Broncos are going to be carrying 4 tight ends on the active roster with Greg Dulcich, Adam Troutman, Nate Atkins, and then Chris Manhertz. So those 4 guys are going to be our 4 tight ends. And then we obviously traded away Albert Okwuegbunam for a late round pick swap to the Philadelphia Eagles. Christopher, Alberto got traded. It was a very last-minute trade, so it's going to be Alberto and a 2025 7th-round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for a 2025 6th-round pick. So I feel like that was at least a slightly better solution to the Alberto saga. I didn't want the team to move on from him, but at the end of the day, I'm glad Howie Roseman, GM of the Philadelphia Eagles, swooped in and got a talented player. Yep, Elijah Garcia did go to Rice. I know that. But I've gotten members of his family that have messaged me, and then members of his community that have messaged me saying that they've watched Elijah Garcia grow up. And so that's really cool for him to be able to make the 53-man roster, man. Delonte Hood, the speedy cornerback, got cut. Unfortunately for him, I think he's a heavy practice squad candidate. Isaiah Prince, he was released. He didn't have to go on waivers since he's a vested veteran, so the Broncos kind of did him a favor by just letting him go early. I don't think the team's going to bring him back on the practice squad. Yeah, David, you're kind of gonna have to do that until they officially release it here. Again, I'm checking my Twitter notifications every 5 seconds here just to make sure that they haven't officially released it. We'll refresh over here as well, make sure nothing's out yet. But again, guys, once that comes out, we will get that to you. But this is my own list of guys who have been cut based on all the Twitter announcements. So we've got nose tackle PJ Mustipher, who was also released. He's a heavy practice squad candidate. So, what essentially we did was we turned a 6th-round pick, or we turned a 7th-round pick into a 6th-round pick. That's essentially what we did there. Alberto managed to find his way to the doghouse on 2 different coaching staffs. That is a fair point. That is a very fair point. That is something to think about there. Jeremy says, like how the tight end and running back room shook out. For the most part, I do too. I definitely wish that we could have maybe found a role for Alberto Cuebanon because he could be utilized as basically a big slot receiver. But again, his blocking, although the effort has definitely been there, just the technique has been sloppy. It just hasn't been good enough. It's been better, but it hasn't been good enough. So that's the main reason why the team moved on from Alberto Cuebanon. Offensive lineman Henry Bird, they also cut. Linebacker Austin Ejike. The wide receiver Taylor Grimes, he's a guy that we've talked about plenty on this channel. He's somebody who I feel like the team is going to try to sneak through onto the practice squad. So if they can do that, that would be great. They've given him a lot of looks in practice situations, but in actual preseason games, he hasn't gotten too many looks. So that tells me that the team didn't want to get a whole lot of tape out there on him, and they're just trying to quietly sneak him through on the practice squad. But he's been super reliable out there in training camp. His route running's been really good. Separation's been really good. His blocking's been really good. He's one of those utility guys that the Denver Broncos are really going to be lucky to be able to stash on their practice squad. Dimitri says there's another trade coming, you feel like. That's definitely possible. Brian, who will be the 3rd quarterback? Ben DiNucci was waived, but it does seem like the Broncos are going to bring him back on the practice squad. So we're not going to carry a 3rd quarterback on the active roster, but we are going to carry Ben DiNucci most likely on the practice squad unless he gets poached and goes somewhere else. Glad Montrell is going somewhere else. Not necessarily, Dimitri. There's a very strong chance that the Denver Broncos could bring Montrell Washington back on the practice squad. Again, we're still waiting here. It's like the Broncos are seriously taking their sweet time getting this active roster out. So we're just going to have to rely on the bits and pieces that are coming out with leaks here. We still have a few guys that we're not sure about here. The defensive lineman, Haggai Chisholm-Dubuisi, he's going to most likely come back on the practice squad through the NFL's International Pathway Player Program. So what this allows us to do is essentially create a 17th spot on the practice squad for Chisholm-Dubuisi, and that would allow us to keep him as basically a free guy on the practice squad. So I don't see why the Denver Broncos would not do that. We already had Peyton's press conference, George Payton's press conference, Dimitri. If you want to scroll back in the stream here, we already went through that. That was a few minutes ago here. Sammy, it mostly feels like route running. Yes, he's speedy, but he's not exactly very good at selling his routes. That's the best way to put it. You have to be good at not showing your hand. It's almost like playing poker out there when you're running routes, and that was my biggest issue with Montreal Washington. Yeah, he had straight vertical speed, but at the end of the day, straight vertical speed is only going to get you so far. Again, guys, we did the press conferences earlier on in the stream, so if you want to just scroll back on the stream, or if you want to go to Twitter, they are also on Twitter. Those are where the Sean Payton and the George Payton press conferences were. Terrence says Alberto can't block. Payton wants guys who will block. Absolutely, and that's why Nate Atkins made the roster. Alberto's blocking has gotten better, but it's not at the level that the team needed it to be. Linebacker Seth Benson also cut. We talked about Ben DiNucci. He's most likely going to be the third quarterback on the practice squad. A cut that kind of surprised me a little bit is edge rusher Aaron Patrick. He's a guy that I had making the active roster for special teams purposes. So there's a chance that the Denver Broncos could bring him back on the practice squad, a strong chance, because I thought he was going to make the active roster. Jonathan Taylor will stay in Indianapolis. He's going to be on the PUP list. No trade ended up materializing with Jonathan Taylor. So that's the latest news there. It seems like this saga with Jonathan Taylor and the Colts is going to spill over into the regular season. It felt like the strongest team in contention for him was the Miami Dolphins. And according to rumors out there from Cecil Lammy of 104.3 The Fan, the Denver Broncos were also heavily interested in bringing in Jonathan Taylor. But ultimately nothing materialized from it. And Jonathan Taylor will most likely remain with the Colts heading into the regular season. Absolutely, D-Rock. We'll be making its own video addressing players that I might pick up on the waiver wire. Steven, no. Jonathan Taylor was not traded. He was not picked up by Miami unless something happened within like the last 5 minutes or something. Nope, doesn't look like anything happened there. Broncos waived defensive lineman Thomas E. Lalade. We had just brought him in not too long ago, so that's not a big surprise there. So that's another one that we can go ahead and copy and paste here and add to the cut list here. All right, so that's another cut for the Denver Broncos. Where were we here? So Jordan Jackson, the defensive lineman, he had a nice camp. Didn't really stand out too much in the preseason. Could be a practice squad candidate. The undrafted free agent corner, Art Green out of Houston, things just didn't really develop with him. Fayon Hicks, he's a practice squad candidate. Tyler Beatty, just unfortunate the way that things shook out for him. Just the way that things shook out for him. He ended up getting injured in camp, and Jaleel McLaughlin surpassed him on the depth chart. I don't know if he's going to be brought back on our practice squad. Better opportunities might be out there elsewhere in the NFL for Tyler Beatty. Tyler Lancaster was cut. He could be one of those veteran players that George Payton was talking about that the Denver Broncos cut as a procedural move, and they could bring him back within the next couple of days after they put a couple of players on the IR. According to George Payton, the Denver Broncos will be placing 3 players. One of them is K'Wan Williams. The other 2 are unconfirmed on the short-term IR. So that means that we'll have to basically cut a couple of veteran players and then bring them back in order to put those players on the short-term IR and only have them miss 4 weeks. I had Alberto on this list, but obviously the news broke that he was traded to the Philadelphia Eagles. Offensive lineman Will Sherman, he could be a practice squad candidate. The edge rusher Chris Allen, unfortunately things just didn't materialize for him. He had 2 straight seasons of injuries, his last year in college and then his first year in the NFL, and he didn't really pop too much out there. The DB Devin Key, he can play mostly safety but as well as some dime. I feel like he could be maybe a practice squad candidate, but he's more of a fringe guy. The running back Dwayne Washington, he was a guy that could have made the roster as a special teams contributor, but ultimately Denver's only going to roll with 3 pure running backs and then the fullback Michael Burton. Archer, we don't know with Fabian Moreau yet. That's another one of those ones we're still waiting for news. We've got Brett Maher, who obviously was cut after the Broncos traded for Will Lutz, so that roster spot is kind of a wash, basically. We got Kyle Fuller, the offensive lineman, who can play guard and can play center. I was really surprised the Broncos elected to move on from him. I had him making our 53-man roster. We've got Tony Jones Jr., the running back from the New Orleans Saints, who played pretty well in the preseason. He could be a practice squad candidate. The offensive tackle, Jamontre Jacobs. I'm glad that his injury that he suffered in the game against the Rams wasn't overtly serious. Wide receiver Michael Bandy, it was already announced the team definitely wants to get him back on the practice squad. And then finally, it was just recently announced that Tomsi Lalali was also waived. So those are most of the moves that have been made right there. Again, we're just waiting on a few more, guys. And I'm checking it. So I guess Tomasi practiced with the Denver Broncos and then was immediately waived afterwards. That's tough, man. Imagine going into practice today thinking that you made the roster and then you ultimately end up getting cut. So we're getting close here to 53 now. Yeah, so we just have to make 4 more cuts at this point to get down to the final 53. Dimitri, I bet KJ comes back. So the latest word on KJ is that he's probably not going to be ready to go until we get closer to like October. And so, therefore, I feel like it's probably going to be a practice squad addition for KJ Hamler. I don't know if you guys saw, Melvin Gordon put his dreads back in his hair. I noticed he got cut by the Ravens, but I didn't realize that he had put his dreads back in his hair. I looked at that, I was like, oh, damn, Melvin Gordon. But anyway, that's completely off topic. But yeah, so Melvin Gordon got cut by the Ravens. We got another Twitter notification here. Panthers released former first-round pick Cam Irving. He's started at left tackle for them. That could be a potential depth piece for the Denver Broncos. He's a vested veteran, so he wouldn't have gone on waivers. Maybe Alberto wanted out of Denver. That's definitely possible, Mark. That's definitely possible. But the way that his teammates were so happy for him after the game that he had against the Rams, that I don't know if he would have wanted out of Denver. I just feel like it was a numbers thing from him. Traymon Smith, seriously, I'm hoping that happens too, quite frankly. Again, guys, we're just waiting on 4 more here. So let's come over here to the Denver Broncos depth chart. And we can kind of piece together how the active roster is looking right now. So, wide receiver here, obviously Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims, Brandon Johnson, Marquez Callaway, and it looks like little Jordan Humphrey have made the active roster at wide receiver. So that's going to be 6 wide receivers there. Offensive line, we've got our 5 starters there, so no surprise. Cam Fleming is pretty much a lock for the roster. The interesting thing, apparently Alex Palczewski was not out at practice. He's a guy that a lot of people had a lock as a lock for the active roster. I'm very curious to see what happens with Alex Palczewski because again, apparently he wasn't out there at practice, so that's going to be an issue for us. We've got Isaiah Prince who was cut, so we got Cam Fleming and Luke Wattenberg, who apparently are going to make the active roster. We don't know about Alex Forsythe yet, the rookie center. Kyle Fuller's been cut. Henry Bird's been cut. Will Sherman's been cut. Isaiah Prince has been cut. Then at tight end, obviously we're rolling with our top 4. Adam Troutman, Greg Dulcich, Chris Manhertz, Nate Atkins, Alberto Cuebanam traded, Tommy Hudson cut. Then at running back, I mean, this is such an old depth chart. It doesn't even have Jaleel McLaughlin as RB3, but it is going to be Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, and Jaleel McLaughlin at running back. Mark, how close are you to your subscription goal? I mean, I'd like to get to 3,000 by the regular season. We're at about, I want to say it's like 2720 or something like that right now, so we're definitely getting really close to that goal. Where's my phone? Oh, jeez, I don't remember where I set my phone. Oh, well. But, Yeah, Alberto did block well for Jaleel in San Francisco, but again, it kind of fell a little bit back down to earth in that Los Angeles Rams game. I definitely will say that. But again, guys, we've got our 3 running backs here. It's going to be Jaleel McLaughlin, Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, Michael Burton. All indications are he's made the team. Again, I'll come back over here and check to see if anything else has happened. Nope, nothing yet. Patriots cut Malik Cunningham. Quarterbacks, Ben DiNucci, prime practice squad candidate. We're going to be rolling with Russell Wilson and Jarrett Stidham on the active roster. On the defensive side of the ball, Elijah Garcia has made the active roster. Jordan Jackson's been cut. Obviously, Zach Allen's made the active roster. DJ Jones, PJ Mustipher's been waived. The interesting thing here... Oh, is it up to 2.73 now? Cool. Awesome. That means that we've grown a few subscribers since we've been live, so that's awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you. All right, so, but back to where we were. Tyler Lancaster was cut. That could be one of those players that George Paton was talking about, that the Denver Broncos basically cut them as a procedural move, and they could bring them back on the active roster. We've got John Harris, who's made the team, obviously, and then Matt Henningsen, Hagai Chisholm-Dubuisi, again, practice squad candidate. At edge rusher, we're going to go pretty heavy there. We've got Frank Clark, Randy Gregory, Nick Benito, Jonathan Cooper. We've got Aaron Patrick, Marcus Haynes, and Christopher Allen who have been cut. The wild card here is going to be Thomas Incoom, who had a really nice game against the Los Angeles Rams. So I'm curious to see if Thomas Incoom potentially has made the 53-man roster. Again, I'm surprised the Broncos have not released it yet. We're 30 minutes past the deadline here. Scipio, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, says, I was complaining earlier about some of the moves being made so far, but in Sean Payton we trust. Go Broncos. D-Rock says, I get we're going run heavy this season and blocking is necessary. It definitely is. Archer says, sorry, Alberto had nice catches against the Rams, but go back and look at his blocking. It definitely could have been better. I do agree with you there. Thank you so much, wasting time. I appreciate you. Ring King, no, I do not see Jaleel McLaughlin as RB1. He does not have the size to be an RB1. And on top of that, we've got Javonte Williams, man. He's not going to overtake Javonte Williams, but he could at some point overtake Samaje Perine as RB2. That's something that I could very easily see. So, again, guys, at edge rusher, the kind of wild card here is Thomas Incoom. Off-ball linebacker, we're going to be keeping 4 guys with Josie Jewell, Alex Singleton, Justin Cernat, and Drew Sanders. Austin Ajike, Seth Benson have both been cut. I feel like Benson is the most likely candidate to come back onto the practice squad. Flaves, yes, JL Skinner is on the 53-man roster. Yes, he is. Cornerback here, obviously PS2, Damari Mathis, Jaquan McMillan. I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Riley Moss. He could be the 3rd player that could be going on short-term IR for the Denver Broncos. And if that's the case, that probably bodes pretty well here for Traymon Smith to make the roster, as unfortunate as that is. Delonte Hood's been cut. Art Green has been cut. We're still waiting on Fabian Moreau. K'Wan Williams is going to start the year on IR. He had surgery yesterday, and apparently part of that surgery was to go in and basically see how bad the damage in his ankle was. And if he comes out of that surgery and the damage in his ankle was bad, then there's a chance the Broncos could essentially shut down K'Wan Williams for the entire year. But hopefully that's not the case, and he only misses maybe the first half of the year. Essane Bassi figures to step in as our starting nickel. Faion Hicks has been cut. Kareem Jackson here and Caden Stearns are going to be basically our top 2 strong safeties alongside Justin Simmons. But with Kareem Jackson, I more so feel like he's going to be utilized as a dime backer where he can go down and hit close to the line of scrimmage. Ring King says, hot take on Skinner. You got a hot take on Skinner? What is it? But yes, he has made the 53-man roster. D-Rock says, I'm excited to see Riley Moss. Definitely excited. I am too, man. I'm hoping that Riley can return soon from his injury, but indications are that he could go on IR right now. PJ Locke, he's slated to potentially go on IR as well. That potentially opens the door for JL Skinner to make the team. Delarian Turner-Yale, for special teams reason, I feel like has made it. And then Devon Key has been cut. And then on the special teams side of things, we obviously talked about how Brett Maher was cut today after the Denver Broncos traded for Will Lutz from the New Orleans Saints. Riley Dixon at punter, Mitchell Fraboni at long snapper, Jack Landhair had already been cut. Then Marvin Mims, it feels like, is going to be our starting punt returner. And then kick return is definitely going to be interesting because I'm wondering here if they're going to utilize Traymon Smith as a kick returner if he does make the 53-man roster. Apparently, he is due $2.5 million guaranteed no matter what, if we keep him or if we cut him. So I don't know, man. The Broncos may keep him for that reason alone. I feel like Traymon Smith's more of a liability than an asset on this team. Okay, so, Jesh. I am not originally from Denver, but I've lived here for the past 5 years, my entire adult life. I moved here right when I turned 18. But I grew up in southwestern New Mexico. As far as my football background, it's kind of interesting, actually. I've been a Broncos fan by name since like age 6. I mean, I've cheered for the Broncos, but I didn't really start truly watching football until age 13, and I didn't really truly start watching like every single game and becoming interested in the analyst side of things until about age 15. And then about age 19 is when I really started diving into X's and O's, learning how to watch tape, all that kind of stuff. And that's when I really found my passion for wanting to do this as a potential long-term career. And now, man, I couldn't envision myself ever stopping. This is my dream. This is my passion. I want to do this basically until the day I die. So that's my football background. I've never played football. I've never coached football. I'm just somebody who's super passionate about the game and super passionate about the Denver Broncos. So that's basically my football background there. Mark, Elijah Garcia has made the 53-man roster. That's been confirmed. Skinner, yeah, definitely a big hitter. I'm hoping that he can kind of hone in on some of those inconsistencies that he had in training camp. But the raw talent is definitely there for JL Skinner. Absolutely. Exotic, I agree. It could have been a little bit, could have come across as a little bit weird with the whole K1 situation. But you have to remember that maybe the team already knew about this, but they keep the injury news pretty quiet over there at Dove Valley now with Sean Payton. So maybe they knew about this for an extended period of time, but they just kept it under wraps from the media, basically. Yes, we are definitely keeping Baron Browning. He's going to start the year on the physically unable to perform list, so he's going to be out for at least the first 4 games of the regular season. But after that, there's a strong chance that we're going to bring him back onto the active roster and work him back into the fold. Jaleel did make it, Ryan. Jaleel did indeed make it. So that is some good news there. I know that he was the training camp darling. He's a guy, go back to my videos that I made in April when we first signed him as an undrafted free agent. I've always been a fan of Jaleel McLaughlin's speed, his vision, his burst. I love his story, man. This is a guy who had to sleep in his car at various points throughout his high school career. He was homeless, but he was able to keep the vision and keep his nose down and work his ass off, and he was able to get himself to the position that he is now. The NCAA all-time leading rusher. I mean, this dude has defied all odds, and it's stories like that that definitely resonate with me. So I'm so excited to see Jaleel take advantage of this opportunity and literally run with it, man. Jaleel had to make it. He was better than Samaje. I mean, they're very different players. Samaje is a downhill runner. He's not somebody who's going to give you a flashy, explosive run, but he's going to give you those tough, hard-earned yards whenever you need them. Whereas Jaleel McLaughlin, he's a threat to rip off a big, explosive run every time he touches the ball. But throughout the preseason, what he showcased that I absolutely loved was his patience and his vision as a running back. He'd be able to just sit there and let his blocking develop. It reminded me a lot of Le'Veon Bell, honestly. And then he'd hit the hole and just be able to make defenders look silly in open space. So I'm really excited to see Jaleel McLaughlin in game situations, not only as a receiver in the backfield in open space, but also in between the tackles as a downhill runner, because he can do both, and he can do both at a high level. If Russ is a bust, we should get Justin Herbert. That's a problem. Unfortunately, Justin Herbert is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. He is under contract with the Chargers for a long time. All right, Broncos country. Is there a Discord server for this Young and Beautiful? Not yet. Actually, that's something, you know what? I need to get that rocking and rolling here. So probably here within the next couple of days, I'll get that rocking and rolling. I also was thinking about getting a Patreon community started where we do some like Patreon exclusive film breakdowns and stuff like that. I'm trying to figure out what kind of content I could commit to bringing you guys on a potential Patreon community. So I'm curious, guys, if you guys have any suggestions as far as potential Patreon exclusive content, let me know, guys. I would love to hear some thoughts on this for sure. Jaleel will be utilized like a Darren Sproles back in the Saints days, I think. Catching out of the backfield with some rush in between the tackles. Absolutely. I feel like that's exactly what Sean Payton sees in Jaleel McLaughlin, is a Darren Sproles type player. Also, obviously, some of those same skill sets that Alvin Kamara has. Sean Payton can identify talent in the running back room, and he knows how to utilize it at a high level. So I'm really excited to see how he utilizes Jaleel McLaughlin this year. Ryan says Taysom Hill can come, guys. I don't know, man. I don't think Taysom Hill's going to come to Denver. He's such a big part of what New Orleans does. I think the Broncos are basically going to have to find their own Taysom Hill, and he's really one of those players that's kind of hard to come by. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Mike Westhoff that initially recognized Taysom Hill for what he could be, at least on special teams. I could be wrong about that, but I want to say that initially it was Mike Westhoff that discovered Taysom Hill. Mark says, I also like Burton the fullback. Me too, and we're still waiting for the official roster. All indications are that Burton made the team. And just a reminder, guys, the Denver Broncos are 5th on the waiver wire this year. And that is a big reminder that this roster is still going to change and it's still going to develop before we get into the regular season. This is not exactly how our roster is going to look like headed into week 1 against the Raiders. We're going to claim players off waivers. We're going to trade for players potentially. So keep an eye on those moves. Absolutely. Taysom the Swiss Mormon Hill. DH says, I'll have to watch Alberto here in Eagle territory. I'll be pissed if he starts balling here. I'm assuming you're there in Philly, DH. I mean, I'm definitely excited for Alberto to get this opportunity. It's unfortunate that things just didn't work out here in Denver for him. I mean, you're going to have to be able to block at a high level to get playing time in the Sean Payton offense. And unfortunately, Alberto just was not able to do that at a consistent enough level. All right. Man, I cannot believe they have still not announced this 53-man roster. What the hell? I mean, at this point, they might not even announce it at all. They just might leave it for us to figure it out on our own here. Rayan says, did you like the Will Lutz trade? I mean, I'm kind of neutral on it, honestly. I feel like we could have probably been better off sticking with Brett Maher and not giving up that draft capital. But at the same time, the Broncos are looking at this. If the Denver Broncos need somebody to go out there and make a clutch key kick in a key situation to win the game, who do you trust more? Do you trust Brett Maher, who has the history of the yips, or do you trust somebody who has familiarity with the personnel here in Will Lutz? So that's really, I feel like, the conversation that the Broncos had. Ranking, no. Shelby Harris is not a free agent. He went to the Cleveland Browns pretty late in the offseason. If it were up to Peyton, he'd trade Dulcich too, but he's too talented and he knows it. I don't know about that necessarily. I mean, I feel like Peyton almost views Alberto and Greg Dulcich as the same player, and they don't have room for more than one of those kind of players on the roster. What's going on with the kicker situation? Yes, that is what's going on with the kicker situation. Will Lutz is now a Denver Bronco. Sounds good. Absolutely, Jesh. And I'll tell you what. Oh, hold on. I'll have to come do it from over here. I will make you a part of the mod club. Oh, geez. I just realized I just leaked some of my personal information on there. Crap. Hold on 1 second here. All right, welcome to the Mod Club. Well, you guys just saw a little bit of my personal YouTube information, but oh well. All right, welcome to the Mod Club, Jesh. Yep, definitely have to remember to go and edit that part of things out of the live stream here. That was my YouTube revenue. Definitely don't want people to see that. All right, guys. So we're going to probably dip out of here within the next couple of seconds. I'm just curious if you guys have any further questions in regards to the Denver Broncos active roster and who has made it. I mean, we're still waiting for some of the final moves here to be made. I'm kind of surprised that it's taken this long. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all good. It's not that egregious of personal information. It's just my YouTube stuff. It's just my YouTube analytics and stuff like that. Oh, I guess the Bills are placing Matt Barkley on injured reserve. Okay, Alex Palczewski. So we just got some news on him per Mike Kliss. This is interesting. Broncos undrafted rookie offensive tackle Alex Palczewski, who seemed to be a lock for the active roster, was not waived today, but he was also not at practice. He suffered a hand injury in the game on Saturday, but was not placed on IR today. So this would indicate he is one of those 3 candidates that George Paton talked about as a candidate for the short-term injured reserve list. So I feel like that could definitely be the move there for Alex Palczewski. It's a shame for him that he's going to miss the first 4 games of the year, but that means that he's in high favor with the team, and had he not gotten injured, apparently he dislocated his finger, but he returned to the game. This means that he would have made the team had he not gotten injured. How will the Broncos offense do, Shai says. I mean, I don't know. There's still a lot of unknown pieces, especially with the wide receiving core. It's all going to depend on Russell Wilson. If he gets comfortable in this offense, the sooner he gets comfortable in this offense, the better, man. I mean, it's all going to depend on how Russell Wilson plays at the end of the day. Robbie Anderson got waived. I mean, I don't know about Robbie Anderson here in Denver, or I guess his new name is Robbie Chosen. I don't know if I'd be too thrilled about bringing Robbie to Denver, but that's just personally me. Yes, so we got 2 quarterbacks on the active roster, John, but it seems that the team is going to bring Ben DiNucci back on the practice squad. Yeah, absolutely, Josh. I know you meant Discord as well. I'll make you a mod on Discord once we get on Discord, but I figured we might as well make you part of the mod club here as well. All right, guys, I'm still checking. We got a Mike Kliss tweet. So it's possible to spin it. So the Broncos can count 4 undrafted rookies: tight end Nate Adkins, running back Jaleel McLaughlin, edge Thomas Incoom, and tackle Alex Palczewski on the 53. So that's cool, man. Basically, 4 players are going to make the 53-man roster. We got Ryan for 5 bones. Or Rayanne for 5 bones. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Helps keep the lights on here at Denver Broncos Syndicate. Thank you so much. Love the super stickers. Those are always really cool. Whoa. Jets released Thomas Morstead. Okay, procedural moves. So that's very similar to what basically the Broncos are doing with a couple of players. Tyler Lancaster's probably one. Looks like we've still got about 4 players to get down to the 53-man roster here. So we just got to patiently wait at this point until we get those 4 players. If they don't come out within like the next couple of minutes here, I'll go ahead and basically make a video addressing those final 4 moves, because I can't believe that the Denver Broncos haven't at least announced the roster yet. We got an Adam Schefter tweet. Oh, go back. I just saw an Adam Schefter tweet in my notifications. Oh, okay. It's just Jonathan Taylor will remain on the reserve PUP list for the Colts, so he's going to be out for at least the first 4 games of the regular season. The Colts have elected not to trade him at this point in time. I would not be surprised at all if he did indeed get traded after those first 4 games were up. I'm still keeping an eye on the Miami Dolphins as the top contender. Maybe the Denver Broncos as well, but I'm hoping that as we go into the regular season, Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, and Jaleel McLaughlin will perform at a high enough level where we can throw this Jonathan Taylor crap out the window for the Denver Broncos, quite frankly. All right, guys, we're approaching the hour mark here, so I'm going to go ahead and dip out of here. Any more moves that the Denver Broncos make, we still have 4 moves to officially get down to the 53-man roster that still need to be announced. Once those moves get made, I'll go ahead and make a video on that topic. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this live stream. Thank you so much for Rayanne for the $5 donation. Thank you to D-Rock. Thank you to Jesh. Thank you to Bronco fan Mark. Ray, thank you so much for the $20. Thank you so much. That is awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, man. I'm always speechless when I get donations like that. That's so cool. That's so humbling. Thank you so much. Will you be going to a lot of regular... Oh, Ryan, yes, I'll be going to all the regular season games in Denver. I bring coverage from every single regular season home game, and then road games we stream right here on Denver Broncos Syndicate. We bring you play-by-play, game reactions, all that good stuff. If you guys haven't been to one of our game streams, it's definitely a lot of fun. So the first one of the games that we'll be streaming will be our Week 3 game, our first regular season road game of the season against the Miami Dolphins. We'll be at home at Mile High for the first 2 games of the regular season. Got to be back out there at Mile High for our preseason opener against the Rams. That was so much fun being out there. No worries, Jess. No worries. Welcome in. Welcome in. Yep, Alberto is indeed an Eagle. That's a move that I feel like is a much better solution to this whole saga than just flat out cutting him. But at the end of the day, I still feel like Alberto would have been better suited on the Denver Broncos active roster as a niche role player, basically, in the red zone, not having to be utilized too much as a blocker. But I totally understand why the Denver Broncos couldn't reserve a role on the roster for that kind of player when we basically already have that kind of player in Greg Dulcich. So, I mean, it sucks, but at the end of the day, I'm happy for Alberto that he gets a fresh start in Philadelphia. It's a team that I definitely am cheering for. They've got a lot of players that I like over there. So, good for him, man. If he had to go somewhere, I definitely am glad that he went somewhere in the Philadelphia Eagles where I could at least cheer for him, and it wasn't somewhere like the Dallas Cowboys or something like that. I'm actually kind of surprised that Sean McVay didn't give the Denver Broncos a call. Maybe he did. Oh my God! Jesus! $50! Dude! Rayanne, thank you! Oh my God! That is insane! I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much. Holy crap. I really appreciate you guys. You guys really do not have to do that. Just liking these streams, sharing them out there. I mean, that's how you guys can support the channel. I mean, this is just going above and beyond, dude. Thank you guys so much. That's insane. Thank you so much. But again, guys, you guys do not have to do that. Only if you have expendable income. If all you have to do is leave a like on this stream. I don't even know what to say. I'm just speechless right now. Thank you so much. That's so cool. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you. How do you pronounce your name, Rayanne? I don't want to continue to fuck that up. So how do you pronounce your name? All right, guys. Wow, that's so cool. We still got 200 people in here too, man. That's just insane. We're building this really awesome live stream community over here on Denver Broncos Syndicate. This channel is building such an incredible community. No way! Oh my God! Another one! Dude. Seriously. Dude. Thank you so much. I mean, I know I'm probably outing myself a little bit here, but that's more than what I would have made if I worked at my day job today. So, dude, I don't even know what to say. Thank you so much. That's so humbling. I'm speechless, man. That's so cool. All right, guys, we're still waiting here because the team has not announced their initial 53-man roster yet. We're still waiting. What? Another one? Oh my god. Dude. Are you serious? Oh my god. Thank you so much. That's $175. That's, oh my god. You seriously did not have to do that. Holy shit is right. I'm not supposed to cuss on this channel, but I'm going to make an exception here. Holy shit. Thank you so much. That is insane. I don't even fucking know what to say about that. That's just, you guys are incredible. You guys are so incredible, Broncos country. Just the fact that I even have this platform and I'm able to make just a little bit of money off of it, man. I mean, whoa. Seriously, dude, stop. I don't even know what to say. $200 or $225 total. No. Props to you. Seriously, that's enough. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Oh my god. Like, seriously, is Mr. Beast in the chat or something? Oh my god. I mean, that is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, guys. What? All right, let's see if we... Wow. Oh, wow. So apparently they made assistant GM Darren Muji available. I'd keep an eye on Darren Muji, Broncos country, as someone who could get poached from the Denver Broncos as a GM. Stop! Seriously, stop it! Another one! Dude! Dude! You're making my voice crack here! Seriously! Thank you! Okay, hold on. How much is that? 50. 1, 52, 50. That's $275. I don't know what to say. Thank you so much. Seriously, you did not have to do that. You did not have to do that. That is so incredible. I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. That's so cool. Thank you so much for believing in me, Rayanne. Thank you so much for believing in me. It's messages like that really keep me going and keep me motivated to keep doing this. And just the fact that I love doing it, man, this is so cool. This is a dream come true. This is literally a dream come true. Wow. I mean, just... I can't even talk. I'm one of the worst when it comes to expressing how I feel into words, but just know that I'm so grateful, I'm so humbled, and I'm so appreciative of every single one of you guys for just watching this live stream, liking it, sharing it out there. That's all you guys have to do for me to know that you guys support this channel and you guys support me. And oh my god, dude, that's just so cool. Yep. You're right, Jess. It's time. It's time. You have to get the wrench. You have to get the wrench. Hold on one second. Let me do it over here just so we don't out my personal information again here. But I absolutely agree. You have to get the wrench at this point. Dude, that's so cool. What the fuck? $100 and then Doug with the 3? Dude, what the hell is going on here? I know I'm not supposed to cuss, but what the actual fuck? Oh man, this is a dream. What? All right, hold on. Let me get you on the mod club here. Let me first of all get you into the mod club here. I don't even know what's going on right now. Dude, this is nuts. Seriously, dude, you're a baller, Rayanne. You are a freaking baller. Holy crap, dude. All right. Let's minimize that. All right. Still nothing. Still no news on the final 4 players. So I don't know if we're just waiting until... I don't know what we're waiting for at this point. Maybe the team's still trying to figure out a couple of procedural moves, but the deadline's already passed. So, but we know Jaleel McLaughlin's made it. We know that Elijah Garcia's made it. Alberto got traded to the Eagles. We're carrying 2 quarterbacks on the active roster: Russell Wilson, Jarrett Stidham, Ben DiNucci, most likely a practice squad guy. Thank you so much, Jess. Hey, I'm super broke too, man. So I really, just again, liking the video, sharing it. That is how you can help support this channel. That is the best way you can help support this channel. I mean, just again, the donations are only if you have some expendable income. Clearly, Rayanne has more expendable income than I could ever fucking imagine having. Oh, there's another quarter I gotta put in the swear jar. I swear, we need to actually get like some sort of graphic in here for like the game streams and stuff. Gage's swear jar, because I'm not supposed to cuss on this channel. My business partner really has made it clear that I'm not supposed to cuss on this channel. But if anybody knows me in real life, they know that I have the mouth of a sailor in real life. So I try not to cuss, but when I get happy like that, it just happens. So, dude, I don't know what to say. Broncos country, you guys are so incredible. I don't even, dude. But again, Jess, thank you so much for the $2. I really am grateful for that. That's so cool. Oh my God. All right, Broncos country. Well, I'm going to go ahead and dip out of here, and we're going to wait to see for that those final 4 roster spots. I'm not going to lie. I need to go and eat some real food. I got 2 little pieces of pizza in me, but besides that, I need to go and actually eat a real meal. And then I've got the Mile High Roundtable podcast later this afternoon at 6 p.m. Denver time, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the Mile High Roundtable Network, the 5280 podcast. So be sure to tune in there. Absolutely. Jess, I don't even know what to say about that. That's wow. I mean, that's humbling. That really is. I mean, I'm going to kind of out myself a little bit. I'm in between living situations right now. I'm basically living in an extended stay hotel. I've been here for the past like 8 months, but that's the sacrifice that I'm willing to make to build this channel and build this community, because I mean, at the end of the day, man, this is my dream, and I know that there are sacrifices that are going to have to be made in order to get to that goal. So, dude, it's just this is insane. This is just insane, man. So thank you guys so much for this. Again, guys, just leaving a like on this stream, just viewing it, not just viewing it alone, viewing my content, showing your support. That alone is the best way that you can support the channel, guys. I mean, again, I cannot overstate this. Do not donate if you do not have the money. Only donate if you have expendable income. Please do not give me your rent money or anything like that. I'm okay enough. I'm getting by. I'm still working my day job over in fast food, but I'm hoping at some point to get out of that. But thank you guys so much. And again, just liking the stream, commenting, sharing, liking my content, all of that stuff is the best way that you can support this channel. Thank you guys so much. All right, guys, we'll check one last time before we dip out of here, just to make sure that nothing's happened. Oh, Chris Jones going on the reserve did not report list. Doug's. Yes, I did see Doug's. I want to give you a more proper shout out, Doug, because it came in right at the same time as another super chat did. But thank you so much, Doug. I really appreciate you. Vegas says we need to bring in a veteran wide receiver. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like, I think that the Denver Broncos need to bring in somebody maybe on the practice squad. But we also have pieces that I know we really like. I'm sorry, guys. My train of thought's kind of all over the place right now. But, all right, guys. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in. I really appreciate you. I'm going to go and eat a proper meal and get ready for the other podcast. All right, guys. And until next time, thank you so much to Rayanne, to Doug, to Jess, Spoomster, Ryan, Vegas, Scapillo. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Thank you to everyone, D-Rock, Jesh, everybody. Thank you guys so much. Broncos fan. All right, guys. I really appreciate everything. And until next time, guys, I am your host, Gage Madrid, saying peace out.